Audio Jungle.
Hey everybody, this is your boy Teran Rodriguez bringing you another edition of the SoCal Supreme Sports Show. Without any further delay, let us see what we've got going on the agenda today. First and foremost, we have El Tráfico, the recap of El Tráfico. We experienced LAFC giving the thumping of the century to the LA Galaxy. What just went right for LAFC? What just went wrong for the LA Galaxy? Also, Mookie Betts signs a monster deal for the LA Dodgers. Cleared through 12 years. And in addition to the baseball side of things, Mike Trout makes his decision where he will be joining the Angels for the up-and-coming MLB season. Also, the Lakers and the Clippers kick off the basketball season in their exhibition games. The Clippers played earlier today, and were they victorious against the Orlando Magic? And also, the Lakers play the Dallas Mavericks tomorrow. What will the keys be to beating the Mavs? All that and more here on the SoCal Supreme Sports Show. This is Teran Rodriguez bringing you another edition of the SoCal Supreme Sports Show here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. And once again, thank you all for tuning in to this episode of the SoCal Supreme Sports Show. My name is Teran Rodriguez, and hopefully everything is sounding a little bit better as opposed to earlier. But things happen. Things happen. It happens to the best of us. Even the best fall down. So, without any further delay, let us get into this little show. Or, as I would always say, let's get ill with that pill. So let's start off with some MLS action, being El Tráfico. LAFC gave the LA Galaxy probably the biggest beatdown I've seen in a while. The LAFC beat the LA Galaxy 6-2 on Saturday, and boy howdy, it was not pretty for the Galaxy. But let's talk about the positives for the LA Galaxy. First and foremost, they actually had a solid first half. The first half looked pretty good for them. They scored the first goal off of as the ball deflected off of a player from LAFC, but LAFC countered right back with a penalty kick, and then the Galaxy eventually got another goal, which made the score 2-1, and then LAFC managed to get another goal right before halftime in stoppage time, as that nodded the score up at 2-2, and eventually that was pretty much the only positives for the Galaxy. I mean, the Galaxy had a great first half, but the second half, let's just say nothing went right. It was almost like a carbon copy of their game against the Portland Timbers last Monday. So the Galaxy actually had a goal that was taken away because they were offsides, and it was actually a pretty good goal, but unfortunately for them, it didn't count, and then eventually LAFC just took advantage of that. I even did a live call of El Tráfico, and Bradley the Wright Phillips was the one that gave LAFC its first lead of the game and the lead for good. One person who really stood out on LAFC was Diego Rossi. He was basically a stud for them, scoring 4 goals for LAFC. Very, very good, honestly. And I couldn't believe it. And he is definitely a talent unmatched for LAFC. And it was definitely that he was definitely the difference maker. Like, he was my player of the game by far. You also have to give it up for Bradley Wright Phillips, who had that nice little transition goal, and the goalie for LAFC was pretty good as well. Pablo Cisniega, who he didn't have too many saves, but he had crucial saves, and he even made up for it. So, and also I need to give a shout to the chat room real quick. Shout out to Larry B for tuning in. And Davidson Crook says, "What's up?" Thank you too for tuning in. Hopefully I'm sounding better. Hopefully I sound good so far. Looks like I haven't gotten anything in terms of bad quality, but I do apologize earlier. But again, it happens to the best of us. So all we could just do is dust yourself off and try again. So anyway, that win, LAFC's win over the Galaxy, was definitely crucial, considering now that puts them in a position where they play the Portland Timbers tomorrow, and if they win that game, they pretty much win the pool, because even though Portland did win twice, I would assume that gives them enough points to win Group F. Not entirely sure, but I'm pretty sure that a win over Portland would give them enough points. As Portland is 2-0, and as they beat the Portland Timbers, the Portland beat the Houston Dynamo 2-1 on Saturday, and then last week they beat the LA Galaxy, which was no ultimate surprise. It took them a first half to get it going, but we'll see. We'll see. We'll see. But I'm definitely looking forward to that Portland Timbers LAFC matchup. I think it's going to basically be Portland's defense versus LAFC's offense. LAFC has just been on a tear lately, having scored 9 goals in their past 2 games. Their defense kind of tweaked it up a little in the second half, as it seems like the LAFC is a better second half team once they've gotten their feet wet and once they've adapted to their opponent. As seen against the Houston Dynamo, they gave up 3 goals in the first half, and then second half they gave up no goals. Then you look at the first half and second half against the LA Galaxy, they gave up 2 goals, and they were pretty much trailing for the most part in that first half. And then the second half, they got their feet wet, and they pretty much turned it around, which is definitely good, because they're going to need that against Portland. And LAFC is definitely living up to what they're picking up from last year, honestly, being one of the best teams in the Western Conference. As for the LA Galaxy, this is basically, I think the LA Galaxy is nothing more than a first half team. Like, they were playing great against LAFC in the first half, and then everything just fell apart. And the same thing happened against the Portland Timbers. So it could be because of rust. It could be because they're getting used to not having Zlatan. But honestly, this is very concerning if you are the LA Galaxy. Like, their defense is already wonky as it is. Like, their defense is pretty average at best, honestly. So we'll see how it goes. The Galaxy are pretty much playing for glory as they play the Houston Dynamo tomorrow at 6 p.m. It's basically going to be for third place. It's going to be battle for the bronze, honestly. And like I said, as for LAFC, their matchup is against the Portland Timbers. I'm going to try to catch that game, but there's a lot of sporting events going on as of late. So it's definitely looking like sports are definitely coming back just in the nick of time. Like, we have the MLB that had opening day tomorrow. The NBA officially kicks off next week. There's already exhibition games going on. And then we have the MLS's back tournament, which is really, really good. And honestly, it's a great time that all sports are coming back, and especially in Southern California. Like, the Lakers have come back, and the Clippers are coming back, and it's just a great time. So as for LAFC, I think their key to winning is they gotta start off strong, and they can't afford to get off to a sluggish start. I think their thing is that LAFC is an average first half team. Like their first half against the Galaxy compared to the first half against the Dynamo, you can't really compare them because the Dynamo was their first game of the season, and they were kind of a little bit rusty, and but at the same time, both of their second halves looked great, and their first half against the Galaxy, they just went back and forth, and they eventually put pressure on the Galaxy, and honestly, I think that was definitely key for the Galaxy, for LAFC. Again, it doesn't help for the Galaxy that their defense looked so flimsy in the second half. Like the Galaxy definitely need to tweak it up, revamp their defense, and it's unfortunate because you don't want to get blown out in a rivalry, especially to the team that beat you last year in the playoffs. So the Galaxy have a lot of work to do going forward. So we'll see what happens going forward. So anyway, my takeaway from El Tráfico was that in the first half it was a great battle. But in the second half, it was all LAFC, and it pretty much showed why LAFC was the number one seed last year. So, and I liked how a majority of the Galaxy fans were. I mean, obviously, Galaxy fans are passionate, but I will say this: please don't make the whole championship or star joke to LAFC. I mean, LAFC is on the rise. They're on the come up, and I think LAFC they'll one day get that championship. It's just that they have to actually show up in the postseason. And I think this MLS back tournament is going to definitely do wonders, get them sharpened up and ready to go. So we'll see how it goes for both the Galaxy and LAFC. I'm looking forward to LAFC versus the Portland Timbers, and more importantly, I'm also interested to see how Diego Rossi will top his 4-goal performance. He had 4 goals. One was off of a penalty kick. I will say one goal did come in like garbage and like pretty much in a blowout, and that goal was questionable in terms of if it counted or not, because it could have been goalie interference or offsides or any of that sort, but it is what it is. So, but that Diego Rossi, man, that man is a magician, and I'm not gonna try to like grind the axes of all the Galaxy fans, but honestly, you definitely have to tip your hat to LAFC. Like, they were just the better team. Straight up the better team, especially in that second half. So, overall, I enjoyed that rivalry. There were a lot of intensity. I liked how some of the refs let the two teams play it out even when there were like intense plays, and that's what you like to see. So, and and me personally, I enjoyed calling LAFC versus LA Galaxy in El Tráfico. It was actually my first time calling a soccer game, and apparently I did pretty good according to majority of you. So maybe I should call some of these soccer games more often. So we'll see. It could be a possibility. It could be. So just to wrap up on El Tráfico, LAFC looks like they're in regular season form, while the LA Galaxy have a lot of work to do. So we'll see. But overall, great rivalry. I enjoyed it. I'm not the biggest MLS/soccer buff, but I enjoy a great rivalry, especially when it comes to a Southern California rivalry. So definitely didn't disappoint me, honestly. So anyway, now let's move on from the MLS to the MLB, where Mookie Betts signs a 12-year contract with the Los Angeles Dodgers. he is basically getting paid, and that is grinding the teeth. And if you listen carefully, you could hear the teeth grinding from all the Boston Red Sox fans. No offense, Red Sox fans, but yeah. So good for Mookie Betts. If you're the Dodgers, however, you got to come up big. So I really want to see the Dodgers actually come up big in the postseason. And with how much money that Mookie Betts is going to be is getting paid, they might as well just name him Mookie Gets, as in Mookie gets money. So that was bad. I'm sorry, but basically we'll see what the Dodgers can bring. Like, it seems like regular season Dodgers and postseason Dodgers definitely differ. The Dodgers did well in their summer league games against the Arizona Diamondbacks and the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim. Personally, I don't really care for those games because they don't count. But it looks like the Dodgers are in regular season form. However, can they keep it up? I feel that their pitching and their bullpen is going to need to come up big. And obviously getting Mookie Betts is big, but it's all about if they can show up in the postseason. Speaking of the postseason, I did get word that the MLB might be trying to extend it to a 16-team playoff for the field of this. From what I've been hearing, according to Buster Olney, the MLB is looking to agree to a 16-team playoff field for 2020, which basically would be the first round would be best of 3. So it would basically be like a standard 3-game series. So except without the third game, if one of the teams wins the first 2. So I'd be quite fascinated to see a 16-team playoff field, honestly. 8 teams from the American League and 8 teams from the National League. I could dig that. That could definitely help out certain teams like the Angels possibly make the playoffs. That's a good time to transition to the Angels, where Mike Trout has decided he will play this season. So, for those of you that don't know, Mike Trout did have a baby on the way, and I'm hoping... And Davidson Crook says, especially in baseball, a 16-team playoff field, that definitely helps out the Angels. And with Mike Trout returning, that just makes the Angels much more deadly and dangerous. I can see the Angels actually being good. The problem is they play in such a loaded division with the Houston Astros, the Dodgers, the San Diego Padres are on the rise. Honestly, the Angels are in such a tough predicament going into this season. I don't want to say they won't be making the playoffs, but here's the thing: they're going to need to play some flawless baseball, and it's just going to be tough, especially if they don't pass the 16-team playoff field for the MLB playoffs. And that 16-team playoff is not only benefits the Angels, but it also benefits the teams like the Padres as well. So it's just and me as an avid Angels fan, I know they can do it. They have the tools, and Joe Madden definitely brings a lot of confidence and optimism to the Angels, but I just don't see it in a loaded division such as the West. I mean, again, you look at the Dodgers and their talent that they boast. You look at the Houston Astros as always. You look at the Oakland A's, which are also good. They're knocking on the door. They're on the rise. Like, it's just going to be tough for... It's going to be tough for the Angels. I'm sorry, but I'm just not feeling the Angels this year. If they do make the playoffs, cool. But it seems like every time the Angels give us optimism or give Angels fans optimism, they just wind up falling flat on their face. And it's no disrespect to Mike Trout or the whole Angels organization, but it's just that it is what it is. Like this always happens to them. So their pitching is still kind of the shoddy thing that they have. So overall, a 16-team field would do the Angels wonders, but you also have to look at the whole American. If they're still going to do the whole American League versus National League thing, then it's still going to be tough. It's going to be really tough for them. So, and at least there will be speculate. At least getting Mike Trout gives them some sort of optimism. So, overall, I think the Angels have a good shot, but they still need to show it to everyone. They need to prove to everyone that they can do it. And their pitching has just been their Achilles heel. And which is why they mainly focused on pitching in terms of the draft. So we'll see how it goes for the Angels. Like if they pull through and they actually make the playoffs, then I'm gonna eat my words, and I guess I'll apologize. But I'm not gonna to me. If you're betting on baseball, don't bet on the Angels. So and again, it really sucks because the Angels have so much talent, and they have the face of all baseball being Mike Trout, but can they actually get they still need to get the job done. So we'll see how it goes, and they have to stay healthy as well. Stay healthy and consistent. So I am looking forward to Shohei Ohtani because I've been hearing that he's been looking as the best as he's been throughout his tenure with the Angels. So I think they can't. I think if he stays healthy, that they need to just send him to pitching. Like obviously he'll be a pinch hitter, but honestly, I think they got to focus on Shohei Ohtani pitching because that's kind of their area of weakness. So we'll see. As for the Dodgers, I don't think the Dodgers should be too worried. If they have to play in that full division where there's no AL and NL, then their only team they really have to worry about is the Houston Astros. Maybe the Oakland A's, and maybe if they're streaking, the Angels, and maybe the Padres. I think the Padres, I don't really talk a whole lot about the Padres. I think the Padres definitely have a good shot at making the playoffs, at least as a wild card team. Do I see them winning the NL West? No, I don't. And do I see them winning the West in general if there is no AL and NL? I don't see that. However, I do see the Padres definitely making noise this year. I'm definitely more optimistic on them. I definitely think they're like a boom or bust team. And this year I think they're going to be a boom team if they just keep it together. And again, and San Diego has been like long yearning for a champion in pro sports ever since the Chargers pretty much left him. Poor San Diegans, I feel for you. But I think there is a great optimism if you're a Padres fan. So I am excited to see what the Padres have to bring to the table for everyone. So we'll see. Like they have some good players on their team, like Michael Bays and Manny Machado. I mean, Manny is still Manny, but I think Manny Machado definitely is still has it in him a little. As long as he's not Manny being Manny, I think the Padres will benefit, and I think they have a lot of optimism this year. So, but overall, I think the Padres will make. If I had to pick, I'd probably say the Dodgers win the NL West. If the playoff format is still American League and National League. If I had to pick, I'd probably say that between those three teams, the Angels, Padres, and Dodgers, I'd say the Dodgers win the NL West, and the Padres make the wild card. And as for the Angels, I say the Angels fall a little short of making the wild card. I don't want to say that, and I don't want to hope that, but again, the Angels are just still have to contend with the Houston Astros. And again, you look at the other teams like the Texas Rangers are they're solid. I don't think they're worth picking to win the AL West, but they're an okay team. The Seattle is Like, I think if there's any saving grace for the Angels, it's facing those guys. And then obviously the Oakland A's, they're definitely a team that's on the rise, and I think that team can make noise as well. I think the Padres and the Oakland A's are dark horse teams when it comes to the West. So overall, and then you also can't sleep on the Arizona Diamondbacks and whatnot. I think the Diamondbacks are solid, but So that's the American League and National League format. Like, Dodgers win the NL West, Padres make the playoffs as a wild card team, Angels barely miss out on the playoffs. I think what might happen with the Angels is that they're going to get on a losing streak at some point of the season, and then it's just going to be too little too late for them, because the MLB is no longer a marathon. It's a sprint. It's a sprint to 60, and that's kind of the motto. So if you start off slow, you're going to be behind the 8 ball for sure. And there's little to no room for error, honestly. So I think the Angels have their work cut out in terms of making the playoffs. As for the Dodgers, I definitely think they're still contenders, and I still think they can. They could possibly win the pennant as well. And from what I read via Buster Only, that if there was a 16-team playoff field, the Dodgers, Yankees, and Houston Astros would be the favorites to win it all. So again, it would all depend on what the 16-team format looks like, such as if it's still going to be AL versus NL, or if it's going to be every team that's condensed into one, and then maybe the top 3 seeds of each division get the top 6 seeds. But I don't know. They still have to approve the 16-team field as well, so we'll see how it goes. But overall, I think the Angels are a year away probably, and I hope they just need to get Mike Trout some help. They obviously did so in the offseason, signing Rendon, but in terms of pitching, that's still a work in progress. And then the Padres, like I said, are on the rise, and they are definitely going to make they're probably the biggest threat to the Dodgers in the NL West. The Dodgers are pretty much the landlords of the NL West. They pretty much own the NL West. They're not going anywhere. So the only way the Dodgers don't win the NL West is if they trip on themselves. So that's pretty much my little spiel. So we'll see how it goes for them. So on that note, we're actually going to take ourselves a quick little break. When we come back, we're going to be discussing some NBA action between the Lakers and Clippers. Also be getting into the Los Angeles Sparks. Yes, y'all thought I forgot about them, but I didn't. So you're listening to the SoCal Supreme Sports Show here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Lay down music,
Hey, what's up, BS3 sports fans? If you love listening to the BS3 Sports Show, check out the weekend wrap-up every Monday at 12:15 Central Time, 1:15 Eastern, recapping the weekend in sports like you never heard it before. Comedy, interactive chat room, it's a must-listen. Weekend wrap-up on Spreaker.com. Part of the X Squad. Check it out. You won't be disappointed.
Attention, all sports fans! If you're someone who wakes up each morning with a list of sporting events to go along with your to-do list for the day, then you just might be a diehard. The world of sports is as vast as the ocean is deep, including the major leagues, the minor leagues, the colleges, and everything in between. This is me, your boy Larry B of IE Sports Radio, welcoming you to join me every Monday evening at 4 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Eastern on The Defining Moment, a show that focuses on what really matters in the sports world, sports themselves, and nothing outside of them. Once again, tune in for The Defining Moment with me, your boy Larry B, every Monday evening at 4 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Eastern on IE Sports Radio, right here on Spreaker.com. We'll see you there.
All my NBA college basketball fans out there, tired of hearing about just the dramatic stuff in the basketball world, tired of hearing about what such and such wore tonight, and not about the game? Hey, leave all of that alone. Because on Wednesday nights, I got this show called Fast Break with Phil Jones here on the IE Sports Radio. And all we talk about is straight basketball, from where it comes down to the NBA, the NCAA, and even the WNBA. I don't discriminate. I give all my NBA, my basketball, whatever you want with sports, to the slam dunks, to the three-pointers, to the teardrops, to the game winners. I'm there. I'm speaking about it. I have a debate. I have my panel. I got a squad that rolls in. And we're going to be talking mad sports. We're going to be talking about the Lakers. We're going to be talking about even the Brooklyn Nets. We're going to be talking about who's the top team out there in the NBA. So, tired all the drama. Tired all the... What did he wear today? What kind of shoes he had? Forget all that. Just come over. Fast Break with Phil Jones here on IE Sports Radio every Wednesday night at 8 Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific time, y'all. So, yo, tune in.
And we are back with the SoCal Supreme Sports Show. As I've mentioned, my name is Teran Rodriguez, and thank you all for tuning in to today's show. Apologies if we had some technical difficulties early on, but again, it's all about living and learning. You gotta learn to crawl and get knocked down before you can run and stand up and run and sprint. So, anyway, with all that being said, let's jump on into the NBA, where we have our summer exhibition games going on, as the Clippers kicked off the summer exhibition games in terms of the Southern California teams. They managed to dispatch of the Orlando Magic 99-90. This was played in Orlando, basically played in the bubble, and despite all that's been going on with the Clippers, where they had 4 players missing, including one of their key players being Pat Beverly, who obviously attended a personal matter. The Clippers made quick work of the Magic, and I didn't think that was ultimately surprising. To me, I think the Magic are They're just not up there. Like they're not a team I'd put money on to win the NBA championship. And that's no disrespect to the Orlando Magic. Like, they're still kind of young and rebuilding and all that. So to me, the Clippers are still the Clippers. They're still one of the heavy favorites to win the Western Conference. And honestly, I think they can, but there's one team that could stand in their way, and that is the Los Angeles Lakers. They kick off exhibition play tomorrow against the Dallas Mavericks. Now, the Dallas Mavericks are a pretty darn good team. I definitely think the Mavs, they're definitely going to try to scrap their way into the playoffs, and for good reason as well. So, I think, luckily, these exhibition games don't count, and hopefully the Lakers do have to they actually take these games a little seriously. I'm not trying to say they should take these games ultimately seriously, but I will say this: if you play bad in the exhibition, it could reflect how you could play during the regular season. But if you're just resting your starters and you're just putting the reserves in, the young guys and the reserve players and the not so important players, then it's no big deal. Like, I think the Mavericks are a good little first game to get their feet wet. So the Lakers and then the Lakers on Saturday play Orlando, and then they close out exhibition play on Monday against the Washington Wizards. The Clippers continue exhibition play against the Washington Wizards on Saturday, and then they close out exhibition play on Monday against Sacramento. So that's my little thing. I think the Clippers can win those games with no problem. The Lakers, I can say the same thing for them. The only thing is I think the Mavericks are pretty good, but these games don't count. So Laker and Clipper fans don't need to be chirping on if either team wins or loses. What either team should be chirping at one another is if all their players or their key players don't return. Like, if the Clippers players don't return in a timely fashion, then depending on who they are, I mean, obviously losing Pat Beverly is kind of crucial, but considering he's such a great on-ball defender, and he's so, what's the word? Strong, he's just so all over the place. Like, defensively, he's all over the place, and he's tough to get rid of. Like, if he's in your head, then you're going to have a tough time getting into your groove. So it all depends. So we'll see. So we'll see what happens. And the same can go with the Lakers. I mean, they don't have Avery Bradley because of the whole opting out thing. Rajon Rondo is out for 6 to 8 weeks. So it's they're pretty much going to have to do what they have to do. I am intrigued by what I heard this week as Alex Caruso decided to forego his sister's wedding to stay in the bubble. Now, there are pros and cons of Alex Caruso doing that. The pros are he gets to stay with the team, he gets to stay with the Lakers, stays in the bubble, and he gets to continue to practice and train with them. And we'll probably get to see him tomorrow in the exhibition game against the Mavericks. The cons of that are he missed his sister's wedding, which is definitely a bummer because obviously family over everything, #FOE. But honestly, it is a bummer that he had to miss that. The funny thing is that Alex Caruso's sister actually moved the wedding from, I think it was May to July, but because of the whole coronavirus, and also because of the NBA season. Because had it not been for the coronavirus, the Lakers would probably be in the off season. So there's that. Honestly. And another pro to Alex Caruso missing his sister's wedding is that he didn't have to be around those people. He got to stay in his little bubble and quarantined. So that's another pro for Alex Caruso staying in the bubble. Overall, I respect Alex Caruso's decision. Obviously, it's tough that he had to miss his sister's wedding, but hopefully he does make up for it. Hopefully he did send a little video saying, "Hey, congratulations on your wedding, sis. Very proud of you. Love you with lots of love and all that." So, anyway, we'll see how we'll see. We'll see how it goes for Alex Caruso. I think he's definitely going to be crucial. And I'm pretty sure all of the Alex Caruso stands out there are definitely looking forward to seeing Alex Caruso take the court, aka AC Fresh. I think Alex Caruso is definitely a fan favorite. The fact that he almost got voted into the All-Star game is absolutely amazing, honestly. So I one day want to see Alex Caruso become a superstar. Him and Taco Fall of the Boston Celtics. Like there have been a lot of legendary matchups in terms of the Lakers-Celtics rivalry. Larry Bird and Magic Johnson, Paul Pierce and Kobe Bryant. Now we're possibly going to see Taco Fall and Alex Caruso. I want it to happen, but I'm just acting a fool. But I'm just trying to be funny. But one can hope. So anyway, overall, I'm definitely excited that the NBA is coming back. It definitely felt so refreshing to see actual basketball being played and not on like a video game simulator and whatnot, and not of a replay from a few years ago. So overall, great to see the NBA is coming back. One more week till the games actually matter, and NBA fans definitely get excited because next week, 1 week from tomorrow, is Lakers-Clippers, and that's definitely a crucial matchup for both teams. I definitely want to see that game. I think I'm more than likely going to watch that game instead of like call it or anything. As all these games are going to be played in up east because it's being played in Orlando, and that's just how it is. It is what it is. So yeah, it's a 6 p.m. start Pacific time. And on the East Coast, that's a 9 p.m. start, which is kind of a bummer. I guess they've already released the pay line, and it's Lakers. They're picking the Lakers by 2 points, and that's promising if you're the Lakers. But it's all about putting it together and actually playing a full 4 quarters and playing sound, solid defense. I know defense doesn't really exist anymore with how the 3 ball is pretty much being adapted to every team, including big men. But honestly, if the Lakers can find a way to like make sure the Clippers don't get on a hot streak in that game, then I can see the Lakers actually winning quite nicely. But now it's basically, but the big question is if LeBron and AD are going to be like on their A game, because obviously they're itching to get back onto the court, and it's a good thing they do have those exhibition games so that no team goes into the relaunch season where the games matter blind, because if they had no exhibition games and every team just went in blind, you'd see a lot of rust. It'd basically be like the NBA players from Space Jam without their talent that was stolen by the Monstars. Speaking of which, we do gotta wonder when we're gonna get Space Jam 2. Probably was gonna come out like later this year, but because of COVID-19, we probably won't be seeing Space Jam 2 until like 2021. That's just my estimation, so don't judge me or anything like that. So I'm definitely excited for Lakers Clippers next week. I'm definitely going to be keeping my eye on the action in terms of Lakers. And also, I do got to mention this. It's not anything groundbreaking, but I guess someone snitched on Dwight Howard for not wearing a mask. Obviously, he went out to his balcony and he didn't have a mask on. And then I guess someone snitched on him. Someone snitched on him to the NBA Players Hotline, and they kind of told Dwight to wear your mask. I mean, that's kind of sad if you ask me, if you're Dwight Howard. But honestly, if you're Dwight, in his defense, he only went out to his balcony, so it just means they're treating this whole situation seriously. Like, you have to wear your mask, you have to just follow the guidelines and make sure you don't put yourself at risk to catching the coronavirus, because the Rona don't care who you are or where you're from. So we'll see how it goes. So that's going to wrap up the NBA portion. Let's jump into the WNBA, where the Los Angeles Sparks, a team that I have not talked about, will be kicking off their season on Saturday against the Phoenix Mercury. It's a 12 p.m. start time, and it's going to be on ABC. I'm definitely excited to see what this Phoenix Mercury and LA Sparks matchup, and I think for good reason as well, because after the Sparks, they play the Chicago Sky on Tuesday at 5 p.m. Pacific time, and then after their game against the Chicago Sky, they play the Connecticut Sun next Thursday at 7 p.m. And also, it's going to be in a bubble. It's not going to be there is no such thing as home court advantage. It's just going to be played at Bradenton, Florida. So I really hope all the WNBA players, not just from the Sparks but from all the leagues as well, are healthy and whatnot. Obviously, this whole bubble predicament is obviously tough for teams like the Sparks and like the Atlanta Dream, the Phoenix Mercury, and whatnot. But it is what it is. Like, would they rather not have a season? I mean, for safety purposes and for purposes of no one getting sick and whatnot, it would be wise to not have a season. But you also have to factor in revenue and the ladies getting paid, because the WNBA players have to feed their families and whatnot, and care for their families as well. Obviously, they have to care for themselves, but they also have jobs and they have to make that money. So and hopefully with this whole pandemic starting, hopefully people do get to watch the WNBA more, and they don't make the WNBA a meme or a joke and whatnot, because the ladies deserve some respect as well. And it's tough for the WNBA, honestly, but hopefully we do get to see them all playing this year. I'm definitely looking forward to seeing the Sparks, because I want to see if the Sparks can actually pick up where they left off in terms of winning the Western Conference. Unfortunately, last year wasn't meant to be because of this whole new playoff format, and I believe they faced the Connecticut Sun last year, and then they lost on the home floor of Long Beach State, because I remember that the Staples Center was being used for the Grammys, or it was either the Grammys or the Emmys. Either way, it was used for some award show, and then the Los Angeles Sparks had to play their semifinal game at Long Beach State in the Pyramid, which is a great place to play your games. Like, the Pyramid is definitely a beautiful environment, and it's located in Long Beach. It's borderline of Orange County and Los Angeles, so it's right smack dab in the middle as well. So this is just me just gushing on how great the Pyramid is at Long Beach State, and I am a Long Beach State student, but just don't judge me. Like, if you've been to the Pyramid, it's a great atmosphere and whatnot. Great place to play basketball and volleyball and all that type of jazz. So anyway, I definitely have high hopes for the Sparks, considering I think they can win the Western Conference, and I also do think they can contend for the WNBA championship. It just really sucks that one of the teams that they might have to contend with, the Washington Mystics, do not have Elena Delle Donne, which is definitely a huge blow for them. Like, Delle Donne is opting out because of health concerns and whatnot. So big ups. So prayers and thoughts to Elena Delle Donne. So that's my thing. I just think this whole Elena Delle Donne thing is pretty shoddy and very concerning. And this just goes to show you that the WNBA players are people too. They're not just forms of entertainment. So, and I wish that with men and women would would get equal pay, but it's all about revenue and all that type of stuff and whatnot. So overall, but I am looking forward to what the Sparks have to offer this year. I definitely think the Sparks are good enough to contend. They have talent. They definitely have talent, but it's all about them actually going out there and getting the dub. So, especially with players like Candace Parker, and their head coach is Derek Fisher, who is not going to be making the clutch shots. Instead, he's going to be drawing it up. So that's my thing. That is honestly my thing, and I think the Sparks have what it takes. Definitely are a good team. So that aside, I want to know what you all think. Will you be watching the WNBA this year? And with this whole COVID-19 pandemic, with the whole sports relaunch thing going on, will you all be watching the WNBA? And if so, do you have a team you go for? Like, obviously, I go for the Sparks and whatnot, and I kind of wish that the WNBA would get a second team from Los Angeles, but I don't know. Personally, I think they should, but it all depends on how popular they are. Like, currently in the WNBA, there are 12 teams, and there have been teams that have departed, like the Cleveland Rockers, the Miami Soul, the San Antonio Silver Stars, the Sacramento Monarchs, all that jazz and whatnot. So we'll see. And then I guess in college news, I did hear that the Big West Conference has not made a decision on if they're going to have fall sports, and they won't be making a decision until August 1st. So that is basically, that's going to be on a Saturday. August 1st is a Saturday, and that's going to be Judgment Day for me, considering I want to see if there will be if they'll be bringing back sports, because I want to see if there's going to be some volleyball, because as some of you might know, I am the host of Set Point, and I also wrote for the Daily 49, the school newspaper of Long Beach State, and I was the women's volleyball beat writer, and I wrote the game stories and whatnot. So I'm definitely looking forward to August 1st. I was even asked that and saying, well, what's gonna go happen with Long Beach State this year and Long Beach State volleyball, and I just said, I don't know. Big West Conference has not made a decision, so all eyes will be on August 1st, which, if you're a Big West Conference buff like me, so I definitely am excited for that day. I'm excited yet nervous, and I'm definitely going to be refreshing my Twitter feed and whatnot, and just checking back every now and then to see what's going to be happening with the Big West, because in case you're living under a rock, the Pac-12 will be limiting their games to conference games only. The same goes for the Big Ten. The Patriot League and the Ivy League will not be having fall sports this fall. But the Pac-12 is what matters most, because this is the SoCal Supreme Sports Show, not the East Coast Supreme Sports Show. So, yeah, all eyes are on the Big West, because there are a lot of teams in that conference, such as UC Irvine, Cal State Fullerton, Long Beach State, UC Riverside, UC San Diego, Cal State Northridge, Cal State Bakersfield, and UC San Diego were both new additions. Cal Poly, the only non-California team is Hawaii, but I'll give them their props as well, because Hawaii fans are passionate and they're pretty chill. So mahalo, Hawaii fans. So, but again, next Saturday is when the Big West Conference will be making its decision on if they'll be bringing back sports. Might as well also bring this up to everyone, that the CIF Southern Section, aka the California Interscholastic Federation Southern Section, has pushed all of its fall sports back, and they've condensed all the sports seasons into 2 seasons. Just fall, which will start in December and early January, and then spring, which will basically be starting mid-May. And I know most people aren't really like high school sports buffs, but if you're me, who pretty much resolves around high school sports, then this is kind of important. Like, I think the CIF is doing all it can to like get to try to get high school sports back, especially for the kids, because the kids are definitely ones that want to like finish up their high school career, especially if you're a senior. Like, if you're a senior, you definitely want to play your final senior season. So, and in terms of football, there have been a few players that have opted out and are not going to be playing in their senior year in terms of football. I think one player that committed to USC, I think is at Mater Dei, is definitely is not going to be playing his senior year with the Monarchs, and he's enrolled early at USC. A lot of other players, such as Peter Costelli, who is the quarterback for Mission Viejo, and a few other players, including the number 1 recruit of the 2021 class, he's even thinking of foregoing his senior year, and he's probably thinking of making his decision and enrolling early in college. And he's I think he's a defensive. He plays defense for Corona Centennial, and Corona Centennial is one of the more dominant programs in Southern California in terms of high school football. But obviously, all eyes in terms of high school football are on Mater Dei and St. John Bosco. I think a few players from Bosco and Mater Dei have definitely forewent their senior year. So overall, it's a tough decision. But if it were me in that position, I honestly would play out my senior year. Now, again, this is opinion only, but in terms of high school, you don't get another year of eligibility, and you're basically, if you're foregoing your last year of high school football, then high school sports is something you never get back. It's a memory that you cherish as when you grow old. Like, this is something you normally tell your kids, like, I went to this high school and I played football with this player, this player, this player, who's on this team, that team, and that team, and and I was also this type of player as well, and all that and whatnot. And again, high school is basically your most memorable memories, and if you miss out on your senior year of high school, you don't get that back. Like, it's not like college where you basically get to redshirt. Like, if you miss out your final year of high school, that's it. You're done. You're done. Goodbye. Have fun. Have a great day. Have a great life. Bye-bye. So that's just my thing. I'm obviously not a college athlete. I'm not a college-bound athlete. It all depends, though. I mean, if you're like a highly recruited athlete, then I understand the decision of graduating early and enrolling in college early. But you also have to factor in potentially winning a CIF championship, or possibly winning, or having more memories, like a final prom. And it's not just sports-wise. It's like a final year of high school overall. Final prom, final winter formal, final like senior dinner. Like, I'm pretty sure everything is going to be going back to normal. So it's definitely a tough predicament if you're a high school athlete. And big shout out to Matt Hames for joining in the chat room. I appreciate you joining in, brother, and hope everything's going well with you and your family. Hope you're still cheering on your Pittsburgh Steelers. So big ups to Matt Hames. So back to the California Interscholastic Federation Southern Section and what's going on there. Coaches that coach like multiple sports like water polo and volleyball and whatnot, they are in a tough predicament as well. Like some coaches are going to have to get creative. And Matt Hames says he's watching some NBA games today and made me think it was March Madness out there. Yeah, I definitely agree with that as well, Matt. Like, seeing the NBA games was something... It definitely felt weird as well. It just felt weird seeing, like, knowing that there's still a season going on and it's the month of July. It's like, a whole lot of this is going to take a lot of getting used to, especially for, like, main sports. Like if you're a big sports fan, such as like basketball and MLB wise. But overall, I'm just glad sports are back in general. This whole thing is starting to clear up. We just all have to do our parts to staying safe and not spreading the virus. So we'll see how it goes. And Matt says, weird on a neutral court as well. Lol, just different. Yeah. Again, yeah, it is going to take some getting used to, but overall, as long as we all just do our part, I think we're going to get through this, and everything it won't go fully back to normal. Like, there's always going to be that little hint of doubt in someone, but obviously, this whole virus is hopefully going to start to clear up. We were doing so great, and we almost flattened the curve, and then people decided, hey, let's not flatten the curve, and let's put ourselves at risk. So it's like, ugh. Oh well. C'est la vie. So just to wrap up on the high school aspects of things, I definitely do hope all the kids get to play their games on time and they get to make the most of their high school sporting career, because again, that's something you don't really get back, and it's memories you want to cherish for the rest of your life. So if you're a high school athlete that's in certain limbo and in doubt of things, I'll keep you in my prayers, and we'll all be thinking of you, and hopefully you all get to make your mark on your high school and whatnot. So we'll see. And I'll definitely be revisiting that topic once the high school sports season kicks off, especially in Southern California. I won't be making once sports gets like in a full flow, like the whole high school sports season in Southern California doesn't start until December. And that's just for like volleyball and for like water polo. Like, I think high school football, it's the whole season starts in like January, and then it goes into like mid-May, and then that's just the regular season. Like, in terms of playoffs, I think I think the playoffs also got shortened as well. So that's a thing as well. So we'll see. We'll see what happens, honestly. But overall, I think that's pretty much going to do it for the high school aspects of things. I still think Mater Dei and St. John Bosco are the teams to beat in Division 1. I don't see a third banana coming up, such as like Corona Centennial or Mission Viejo and I don't even remember who the fourth team was that St. John Mater Dei had to face, or St. John Bosco had to face. So all I can tell you is that expect St. John Bosco and Mater Dei to be in the final. So pretty much that's going to do it for the high school aspects of things. Before we wrap up, just got to give you all the whole little song and dance about IE Sports Radio. Continue to show support for IE Sports Radio. Continue to support shows. Let's go to the weekly recap. On Sunday, Davidson Crooks and Dentarius Locke kicked off the week with their episode of Fast Break. Talked a lot about basketball and Elena Deladon. They went really well and in-depth in that whole situation. And then Monday, we had Let's Whine About Sports with Mike Pat. He talked about the Washington Football Club, as they're no longer the Washington Redskins, and whatnot. And he also had himself a nice little glass of wine, and he talked all things sports. And overall, he definitely did a great job, and it was great to have him back for a second week. And then also on Monday, we had The Unfiltered Truth with Phil Jones and Phil Robinson, as the two Phils gave everybody a class lesson, a history lesson. And then on Tuesday, which was yesterday, we had the Kansas City Shuffle with Dave Friedman and Ryan P. Davis, or Pezquire, as most people call him. And they talked Kansas City Chiefs. They talked a little Kansas City Royals. They even played Kansas City Chiefs Jeopardy. So it was a fun time. It's always a fun time with those two. And then we had Set Point with me and my guest, Kevin Birch, the Ohio State men's volleyball coach. And then closing off Tuesday, we had Marcus Losgreat with Gloves Off. He did a great job with his show as well. So he talked UFC Fight Island 3 and all things combat sports. He even talked a little Ryan Garcia, a.k.a. the semi-clout chaser. And I'm just kidding. He's not. I don't think he's a full clout chaser. So jumping over to tomorrow and what to look forward to tomorrow, we have the Extra Mile with Daryl Kinsey Jr. I think maybe Larry B will be jumping on as well, and then Michael Ward will be jumping on too. That'll be coming on at 5 p.m. Pacific Time, 8 p.m. Eastern Time. And then also we have Bases Loaded on Thursday to close the day. That'll be on at 7 p.m. Pacific Time, 10 p.m. Eastern Time. I don't know if the Deep Stage will be going on live tomorrow. That talks about NHRA, and that's hosted by Jonathan Grunke, a.k.a. Couch Crew Chief, and Larry B. And I'm not so sure about Not What It Seems with Caitlin Seam. Obviously, Caitlin, for those of you that are living under a rock, Caitlin moved, and she's trying to get adjusted to her new lifestyle where she's at. So, not so sure about Not What Seems, but definitely do keep an eye on our Twitter page where we'll update everyone on their shows. And then Friday we have the Neutral Zone with Robert Kavanaugh, where Robert will talk about the NHL and the up-and-coming Stanley Cup playoffs, or as he calls it, the COVID Cup. And then Saturday we have Down in H-Town with Corey Walker, where he talks about Houston sports and whatnot, and even the University of Houston. We're even going to hear him talk about the Houston Dash, which advanced to the NWSL Championship, which is really cool, honestly. And I'm definitely looking forward to hearing him talk NWSL. I still wish that the NWSL would get a Los Angeles team. So we'll see. And then definitely do keep on supporting IE Sports Radio. You can follow them on Twitter and on Instagram at IE Sports Radio. You can also like them on Facebook and follow them on LinkedIn. And also do try to subscribe to them on Apple Podcasts and on YouTube and whatnot. And definitely give them a 5-star rating on Apple Podcasts, because we take pride in supporting putting on for our fans and definitely putting out quality content. We're not as big, but we're starting to get there. We're growing. We're like the little blossom that's going to be sprouting into a beautiful, beautiful flower. And then also definitely check out the IE Sports Radio website. Sign up for our newsletter, and definitely check out our merchandise. We have hoodies, we have tank tops, we have t-shirts of many colors, aka de colores. That's Spanish for many colors. And definitely do check out IE Sports Radio as a whole, where we have our past guests, our up-and-coming guests, and our radio and basically our weekly lineup for shows. And yeah, definitely do check us out. We're definitely growing as a whole. We're trying to get ourselves more regional shows. Well, not like regional shows, but city-like shows, like Southern California, regional state shows, city shows, state shows, and whatnot. So that's pretty much going to do it for my little spiel of IE Sports Radio. Definitely do continue to support them. I definitely want to give a big shout out to Larry B for all his hard work. I definitely appreciate what you're doing, as well as the whole IE Sports Radio family and all that they do. Everyone here, in my opinion, works hard equally. There's not one person that works harder than anyone, honestly, because it just wouldn't be fair. Obviously it can show, but sometimes people have other things. But overall, I think that's going to do it for today's show. Again, I definitely do apologize for the mishap that happened earlier in terms of the quality. Again, you gotta live and learn, but just a little tip for those that use Spreaker: don't leave Spreaker open after you did a show and then expect to do it the next day and have everything run smoothly. Just don't. That's my Teran tip of the day. So for all you young podcasters that are using Spreaker, just don't do it. Just don't leave Spreaker open after you did a show and then expect to do another show tomorrow and then dive right into it. It won't work. I think Spreaker just needs time to refresh and update and all that. So again, that's been your Teran tip of the day, which was sponsored by nobody. And on that note, it is time to get on out of here, because I gotta get me something to eat. And also, I gotta send you all on your way. So without any further delay, let's hit the music. Thank you all for tuning in to the SoCal Supreme Sports Show. If you've been here for the long haul, I definitely appreciate it. If you're listening to this on a replay, I appreciate you. And again, I apologize for the little mishap, and but again, things happen. Thank you, Larry B, for doing a great show. Most appreciated. I appreciate everything you do for us. But everyone, right now, I'm about to get out of here. Everyone, have yourselves a great rest of the night. I will be talking to you theoretically on Tuesday, but I will see you all next Wednesday for another edition of the SoCal Supreme Sports Show. Have a great night, everybody. Peace and blessings.
Audio Jungle.